Have you ever felt trapped in a story you don't remember writing? You wake up, you go to a job you don't love, you repeat the same arguments with your partner, you stumble over the same financial stone over and over again. You believe you are free. You believe you make your own decisions. But what if I told you that 95% of your life is being acted out by an invisible script? What if the forces shaping your reality are not fate or luck, but ancestral programs running in the background of your subconscious? Welcome to the world of archetypes. They are not just myths. They are the invisible architects of your reality. They decide if you are rich or poor. They decide if you are the hero who suffers or the magician who manifests. They have been directing your play from the shadows until today. In this audiobook, we are not going to analyze you psychologically. We are going to liberate you. We are going to enter the engine room of your psyche. We are going to unmask the characters that limit you. The victim, the martyr, the saboteur. And we are going to install the codes of the characters who create empires, the sovereign, the alchemist, the creator. Get ready. You are going to stop being a supporting character in the movie of your life. You are going to tear the script from the hands of fate and grab the pen yourself. It is time to rewrite your reality. Chapter 1, the source code. What are archetypes really? For centuries, we've been told an incomplete story. We've been told that our personality is a product of our genetics, our upbringing, and our experiences. We've been told that we are the logical result of our past. They tell you, you are shy because your father was strict. You are poor because you were born in a difficult neighborhood. You have bad luck in love because you have attachment traumas. All of that sounds logical. It sounds reasonable. But it is a low-resolution truth. It is a Newtonian explanation for a quantum problem. The truth they do not want you to know, the truth that ancient alchemists, shamans, and now physicists are starting to articulate, is far stranger, much more powerful. You are not the result of your past. You are the result of the software that you are running right now. Your life is not a biography written in stone. It is a simulation generated in real time by invisible programs that operate on the server of your subconscious. Those programs have names. The ancients called them gods and demons. Jung called them archetypes. We, in this era of awakening, will call them what they really are: reality creation protocols. Welcome to the source code. In this chapter, we are going to gut the nature of reality. Forget what you know about Greek mythology or tarot cards. We are not here to talk about literature. We are here to talk about existential engineering. We are going to discover what these invisible architects really are, where they live, how they are installed in your mind, and most importantly, how they are projecting the hologram that you call your life in this very second. To understand what an archetype is, first we must understand where we are connected. Imagine for a moment that your brain is not the generator of your consciousness, but a receptor. Imagine that your brain is like a smartphone or a computer. The phone by itself is a piece of plastic, glass, and microchips. It is inert hardware. For the phone to be useful, it needs two things. One, an operating system, your pure consciousness, the I am. Two, connection to the cloud, the collective unconscious. Carl Jung, the great cartographer of the mind, discovered that we do not dream alone. He discovered that all human beings, regardless of whether they were born in New York, in ancient Egypt, or in an Amazonian tribe, share a common database. This database is the collective unconscious. It is the cloud of humanity. And in that cloud, there are master files. There are universal patterns of behavior, emotion, and destiny. Patterns that have existed since the dawn of time. These files are the archetypes. They are energetic molds. They are the original templates. There is the warrior file. There is the mother file. There is the sage file. There is the jester file. There is the victim file. These are not fictional characters. They are morphogenetic fields. They are structures of living energy that exist independently of you. When you act as a victim, you are not inventing that behavior. You are downloading the victim file from the cloud and executing it on your hardware. You are channeling an energy that is older than you. Think about it. Why do we all instinctively know what it feels like to be a hero? Why are we moved by the same scene in a movie? Because that code is already written in the cloud. You only tune into the frequency. Here is where most people lose control of their life. They confuse the software with the user. You are the infinite consciousness. You are the observer. You are the divine presence that says, I am. That is your base operating system. It is perfect, unlimited, eternal, and creative. But on top of that operating system, you have installed applications, archetypes, and you have committed the fatal error of identifying yourself with the application. Imagine that you open Instagram on your mobile. The screen fills with photos. Do you say, I am Instagram? No, you say, I am using Instagram. You know that you can close the application and open the calculator or the notepad. But in your life, you opened the application, The Struggling Poor Man, at 7 years of age, and you have never closed it. You have been running the same application in the background for 30 years. It has eaten so much RAM, it has occupied so much of the screen, that you have forgotten that there are other applications available. You have forgotten that you are the user. You believe you are the application. You say, I am an anxious person. Lie. Anxiety is a program. You are the one who observes the program. You say, I am bad with money. False, and scarcity is an archetype, the beggar. You are the consciousness that is channeling the beggar. The difference seems semantic, but it is tectonic. If you believe that you are anxious, you cannot change it, because it would imply killing yourself. If you understand that you are executing the anxiety program, you can simply press close window and open the Monk's Peace program. Rewriting your reality starts with this radical dissociation. I am not my patterns. I am not my emotions. I am not my history. I am the programmer who chooses which script is executed next. Let's go deeper. Let's talk about quantum physics and magnetism. Why is it so dangerous to execute the wrong archetype? Because archetypes are not just psychological, they are magnetic. They function as lenses through which you collapse the wave function of reality. Imagine that the archetype is a movie projector embedded in your forehead. If you have the movie cartridge The Victim installed, your projector will emit a specific frequency toward the quantum field. That frequency seeks resonance. The universe is an obedient mirror. It does not judge, it only reflects. If you project victim, the universe scans its infinite database of possibilities and looks for what actors, situations, and events fit the victim's script. And it finds an abusive boss, an unfaithful partner, an economic crisis, an accident. The universe says, here you have it. I bring you the necessary elements so that you can live your victim movie with all realism. Understand this, and you will understand your entire life. The archetype needs to feed on its own narrative. The warrior program needs war. If you don't have enemies, the warrior archetype in your subconscious will create enemies. It will make your neighbor offend you or your partner provoke you just to have a battle to fight. Because without battle, the warrior has no purpose. The savior program needs broken people. If you execute the savior, you will feel irresistibly attracted to addicted, depressive, or problematic partners. It is not bad luck. It is your software looking for its vibrational match. That is why positive affirmations often do not work. You can say, I am rich 1,000 times in front of the mirror. But if the program that is running at the core of your system is the orphan child, who feels alone and deprived, reality will obey the program, not your mouth. The archetype is the site manager. Your conscious thoughts are only the bricklayers. If the site manager has plans for a shack, the bricklayers will build a shack. In shamanic traditions, there is talk of spirit possession. In modern psychology, we talk about archetypal constellation or autonomous complexes. It is the same thing. An archetype has its own primitive will. It wants to survive. It wants to express itself. And if you don't control it, it possesses you. Have you ever had a fit of rage where you said horrible things that you didn't mean? And then, upon calming down, you said, I don't know what happened to me. It wasn't me. You were right. It wasn't you. You were temporarily possessed by the archetype of the destroyer or of fury. The program took control of your vocal cords, your muscles, and your mind to discharge its energy. Once satisfied, it returned control to you. Most people live in a state of chronic light possession. They are possessed by the obedient employee. They are possessed by the selfless mother. They are possessed by the cynical intellectual. They believe they are free, but every decision they take is dictated by the internal logic of the archetype that governs them. The cynical intellectual, for example, will never take an irrational risk of faith. He cannot. His code forbids it. Therefore, he will never experience a miracle. His archetype is his cage. The martyr will never accept help, because his script says, I have to suffer alone to be valuable. He will reject money and love, even if he consciously desires them, because his archetype blocks the entrance. Rewriting your reality implies a conscious exorcism. It implies looking at the program and saying, I see you. I know what you are trying to do, but I am in charge now. I am not going to react like a victim. I am going to respond like a creator. In the moment you observe the archetype without identifying with it, you break the possession. You should know that each archetype is a two-sided coin. It has a light pole and a shadow pole. Energy is neutral. You decide the polarity. Let's take the archetype of the king-queen. In its light, the king provides, protects, orders, and blesses. He creates prosperity for all. He is magnanimous. In its shadow, the king becomes the tyrant who crushes others, or the weak king who abdicates and lets chaos reign. Let's take the archetype of the magician. In its light, the magician transforms, heals, and elevates consciousness. In its shadow, the magician becomes the manipulator or the charlatan. The problem for most is not that they have bad archetypes. It is that they are executing the shadow versions or the child versions of the archetypes. Many men believe they are in the warrior archetype, but in reality, they are in the shadow of the bully or the coward. Many women believe they are in the lover archetype, but they are in the shadow of the manipulative seductress or the cold woman. Your job is not to eliminate the archetypes. That is impossible. They are the structure of the psyche. Your job is to elevate the octave. It is passing from the victim, shadow, to the alchemist, light. Both deal with pain, but the victim drowns in it and the alchemist transforms it into gold. It is passing from the tyrant, shadow, to the sovereign, light. Both have power, but one uses it for fear and the other for love. Imagine that your vital energy, libido, chi, prana, is a mighty river. The archetype is the riverbed. It is the shape of the land through which the water runs. If the riverbed is deep, straight, and clean, the water flows with strength and generates electricity, manifestation. If the riverbed is full of stones, crooked curves, and blockages, the water stagnates and rots. You cannot create the water. The energy comes from the source, but you are responsible for digging the riverbed. Until today, you have let society dig your riverbed. Your parents told you, be humble, don't ask for much. They dug a small and narrow riverbed. The school told you, follow the rules, don't stand out. They dug a square and boring riverbed. Your traumas dug holes where the water escapes. When you try to manifest the $1 million by throwing a lot of energy, desire through a riverbed designed for a minimum wage, what happens? The river overflows. You cause a disaster, anxiety, nervous breakdown, because the archetypal structure, the riverbed, cannot support the flow of desire. To rewrite your reality, you have to widen the riverbed. You have to install the structure of the rich king before receiving the wealth. The rich king is an archetype that feels comfortable with power, who feels no guilt for having, who knows how to manage. If you install that software first, when the money arrives, it will flow naturally. If you don't install it, the money will arrive and leave, as happens to those who win the lottery and lose everything in 2 years. They had king's money, but beggar's archetype. The good news, the great news, is that the universal menu is open for you. You are not limited to the archetypes that fell to you at birth. The cloud of the collective. Unconscious is open source for the initiate. You can download what you want. Do you feel weak and fearful? You can download the spiritual warrior file. Do you feel confused and lost? You can download the sage file. Do you feel ugly or unloved? You can download the Aphrodite lover file. It is not faking, it is tuning. It is like a radio. If you are listening to the station Radio Sadness 99.9 FM, you don't have to destroy the radio. You only have to turn the dial to Radio Success 101.5 FM. The music of success was always playing in the air. Only you didn't tune into it. The millionaire archetype exists in the ether right now. There are people using it. Its frequency is available. You can connect to it, but it requires humility. It requires admitting that your current personality is only an old playlist that you have grown tired of listening to. It requires the courage to let the old self die, uninstall the old app, to make room for the new one. Here is where we enter dangerous terrain. When you decide to change archetypes, the system rebels. Your environment, family, friends, knows your old character. They have written their scripts counting on you acting your part. If you are the family victim, and suddenly you become the sovereign, you destabilize all the family drama. You no longer fit. They will tell you you have changed. You think you're so much. You're not the same anymore. They will try to push you back into your old mold because your change forces them to change or leave, and your own subconscious will rebel. You will feel imposter syndrome. When you start acting like the magician, a voice will tell you, ridiculous. You are not this. You are Juan, the one who has debts. That is the voice of the old program trying to survive. It is the virus defending itself from the antivirus. The key is persistence. You have to inhabit the new archetype until it feels natural. At first it is a costume, then it is a second skin. In the end, it is you. Chapter 2: The Trap of Survival Archetypes. Imagine that you live in an underground bunker. Outside the sun shines, there are green fields, rivers of fresh water and infinite opportunities. But you have never left the bunker. You were born there. Your walls are made of reinforced concrete 3 meters thick. You have canned food for 100 years. You have air filters. You are safe, completely safe, and you are completely dead in life. The bunker has 4 guardians at the door, 4 armed sentinels who have only one order: keep you safe at all cost. If you try to approach the door to go out and see the sun, the guardians stop you. They push you back. They scream horror stories at you about what is outside. There are monsters, there is radiation. You will die if you go out. You, frightened, thank them for their protection and go back to your dark corner to eat your canned food. This is the exact metaphor of your current psyche. The bunker is your comfort zone. And the 4 guardians are the survival archetypes. Everyone, absolutely every human being, is born with these 4 programs installed by default. They are not a curse. They are a biological survival kit. They are designed to ensure that you survive childhood, that you are not abandoned, that they don't kill you, and that you belong. The problem is that these programs do not turn off by themselves when you become an adult. They keep running. They keep protecting you from dangers that no longer exist. And most seriously, for the survival archetypes, success is a danger. Wealth is a risk. They can rob you. Love is a risk. They can hurt you. Visibility is a risk. They can criticize you. Therefore, your own bodyguards are preventing you from going out to live the life you desire. Welcome to the trap. In this chapter, we are going to identify these 4 jailers: the victim, the prostitute, the saboteur, and the wounded child. We are going to understand how they work, why they are so seductive, and how to deactivate their security protocol so that you can, for the first time, open the bunker door. Before judging yourself, understand your biology. Your reptilian brain has one priority: to survive. It does not have the priority of being happy or being a millionaire. For the reptilian brain, the unknown equals death. The known, even if it is painful, equals life. If you are in an abusive relationship, your brain says, well, at least I already know how to dodge the blows. If I leave, I don't know what will happen. Better I stay. The survival archetypes are the managers of this fear. They are contracts that you signed unconsciously when you were little. You said, I will yield my power in exchange for security. I will yield my voice in exchange for them not hitting me. I will yield my dreams in exchange for Dad loving me. That contract was useful at 5 years old. At 30, 40 or 50 years old, it is a scam. You are paying for a life insurance that prevents you from living. We are going to unmask the 4 guardians. This is the base archetype, the root of the trap. The child, or the orphan in some traditions, represents our vulnerability and our need for belonging. The child believes that he cannot survive alone. He needs a tribe, a dad, or a mom. When this archetype directs your adult life, It manifests as a chronic inability to mature and take charge. How do you know if you are in the child's trap? You seek permission. Before making a decision, you ask 10 people. You need someone to validate you. You seek culprits. It's that they didn't teach me. It's that they didn't give me opportunities. Magical fantasy. You expect the universe to rescue you without you having to make an effort. You believe in the law of attraction as if it were a fairy godmother, not as a physical law. Fear of solitude. You stay in toxic groups because the child's terror is being expelled from the tribe. Better in bad company than alone. The child's trap is ingenuity. The child refuses to see that the world has teeth. He refuses to see that wolves exist, and for that reason, he is always devoured. If you want to rewrite your reality, you have to tell the child, "I love you, but you no longer drive the car." Now, Dad, your sovereign adult self is at the wheel. Maturity is the capacity to take care of oneself. While the child directs, your economy will be that of someone who expects an allowance, not that of someone who generates an empire. This is the most astute guardian. Society teaches us to despise the victim, but secretly we love being one. Why? Because the victim has a hidden power, the power of innocence. If I am the victim, I am not guilty. If I am not guilty, I don't have to fix anything. The victim forces others to take care of her through guilt and pity. The victim's trap is to believe that your pain makes you special. Nobody has suffered what I have. You cling to your story of trauma as if it were a title of nobility. When someone offers you a solution, you reject it with a yes, but you don't want solutions. You want allies who validate your pain. This archetype is the mortal enemy of manifestation. The law of assumption says, you are what you believe you are. If you believe that you are a victim, the universe will send you executioners. It is mathematical. The archetype of the victim needs the executioner to exist. If you heal, if you become rich, if you are happy, who are you then? The victim prefers the known pain to the loss of identity. To get out of this trap, you have to renounce the right to be pitied. You have to be willing for people to say how strong you are instead of poor thing. Calm down, do not be offended by the name. Caroline Myss, the great intuitive physician, defined this archetype with surgical precision. The prostitute has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with the negotiation of personal value. The prostitute is the guardian that is activated every time you are afraid of material insecurity. This archetype asks you every morning, what is your price? And we all have a price. How much do they have to pay you so that you stay in a job that you hate and that makes you sick? That is the price of your health. How much fear of solitude do you have to stay with someone who treats you badly? That is the price of your dignity. How much do you need the approval of others to silence your true opinion? That is the price of your voice. The prostitute's trap is false security. You believe that by selling pieces of your soul, you are buying security. I stay in this toxic job because I need to pay the mortgage. It seems logical, but it is a metaphysical trap. You are saying to the universe, I do not trust in my capacity to generate resources, so I sell myself to this master. When you act from the prostitute, you block real abundance. You only receive payments. You never receive flow. The money that comes from energetic prostitution always leaves quickly or is spent on medicines to cure the stress of having sold yourself. Getting out of this trap requires faith. It requires saying, my integrity is not for sale. I trust that if I follow my truth, the universe will sustain me. It is the most difficult leap into the void, but it is the only one that leads you to wealth. We reach the most paradoxical guardian. The other three, child, victim, prostitute, operate when things go wrong or to avoid pain. The saboteur operates when things go well. Imagine that you have managed to overcome the other three. You have matured. Goodbye, child. You have assumed responsibility. Goodbye, victim. You have bet on your dream. Goodbye, prostitute. You are about to sign the contract of your life. You are about to marry the ideal person, and suddenly, you forget to sign the document. You get drunk at the engagement dinner and make a scandal. You get sick right on the day of the launch of your business. What happened? The saboteur pulled the handbrake. Why? Why would someone destroy themselves? Because the saboteur protects your current identity. Your ego has a thermostat. It is set to mediocre life. If you suddenly raise the temperature to extraordinary life, the security system jumps. The Saboteur says, "Alert! We are entering unknown territory. If we shine too much, we will be visible. If we are visible, we will be attacked. If we have much money, we will become greedy or it will be stolen. Abort mission." The Saboteur's trap is the glass ceiling. It allows you to go up to a certain point and then it knocks you down. It makes you believe it is bad luck. Just when I was going to win, something happened. Something didn't happen. You made it happen. Your subconscious coordinated the disaster to return you to the safe zone of failure. Failure is comfortable. Success is demanding. The terrifying thing about these archetypes is that they work as a team. They are a gang. Observe the sequence. The child is afraid of undertaking alone and seeks a boss, dad. The prostitute accepts a horrible job for fear of not having money. When the job becomes unbearable, the victim starts to complain about how bad the boss is, but doesn't leave. And if suddenly an opportunity for a better job appears, the Saboteur makes you stay asleep on the day of the interview so that you don't have to risk the change. It is a perfect closed system. An infinite loop designed to keep you in the bunker. You cannot negotiate with them. You cannot tell them, "Just a little bit of success, please." They are binary programs, 0 or 1, safe or unsafe. For them, your growth is unsafe. What is the price you pay for this protection? The price is your vitality. Living in survival mode consumes an enormous amount of energy. Having the radar turned on looking for dangers, Saboteur, complaining, victim, pretending to be who you are not, prostitute, and seeking approval, child, exhausts your reserves. That is why you are always tired. That is why you don't have energy to create. All your energy is spent on maintaining the walls of the bunker. The creator, the magician, the alchemist, all those power archetypes that you want to install require free energy. They require energetic surplus. While you keep feeding the 4 guardians, you will not have fuel to ignite the engine of the new reality. You have to fire security to hire freedom. You cannot fight against these archetypes with willpower. They are stronger and older than you. You can only deactivate them with awareness. They are like vampires. They die when the light hits them. The moment you see them operating in real time, they lose power. The identification protocol. During the next week, watch your reactions. When you feel the urge to complain or blame someone, stop. Say, "I see you, victim. Thank you for trying to protect me from guilt, but I assume the responsibility." When you feel fear of not having money and you are about to accept something that denigrates you, stop. Say, "I see you, prostitute. Thank you for trying to give me security, but my security comes from my source, not from this deal." When you feel that you cannot alone and you seek someone to solve your life, stop. Say, "I see you, child. Calm down. I am the adult now and I take care of us." When things go well and you feel a strange anxiety or the urge to flee, stop. Say, "I see you, Saboteur. I know you are afraid of my light, but it is safe to shine." Do not hate them. Talk to them as you would talk to a watchdog barking at the mailman. The dog is not bad, he is just confused. He believes the mailman is a thief, you are the owner. Pet the dog and tell him, "Calm down, he is a friend. There is no need to bite." Calm your archetypes. Tell them that success is safe. Leaving the survival trap feels paradoxically like dying. When you stop being the victim, you feel that you die. When you stop prostituting yourself, you feel that you are left without ground. It is the vertigo of freedom. People prefer unhappiness to uncertainty. But you are not the people. You are an initiate in Transcendental Mind. You know that on the other side of fear, death is not there. Real life is there. Chapter 3. The Mirror of Truth Unmasking Your Current Role. There is an ancient legend about a magical mirror that did not show your face but your soul. People traveled miles to consult it, but most, upon standing in front of it and seeing the reflected image, screamed in horror and broke the mirror. They preferred to believe that the mirror was broken than to accept that the deformed image they saw was themselves. You live in front of that mirror every day. Your entire life is that mirror. Your bank account, your partner, your health, your boss, your friends, they are not random events. They are the exact reflection of the archetype you are acting out. The Hermetic principle of correspondence says, as within, so without. But you, seduced by the illusion of the ego, have lived believing the opposite. You have lived believing that your problems are external. You believe you are broke because the economy is bad. You believe you are alone because there are no good men, women anymore. You believe you are sick because of genetic bad luck. Today we are going to stop that lie. Today we are going to clear the mist from the mirror. We are going to use your external reality to do reverse engineering and discover exactly what program is running in your mind. Reality is the printed diagnosis. If you don't like the printout, don't break the paper, change the code. Welcome to the mirror of truth, get ready. What you are going to see may hurt, but I promise you it is the pain that precedes healing. To understand this diagnosis, imagine you're in a cinema. You are sitting in the seat watching a horror movie. On the screen, your reality, there are monsters, scarcity, and persecutions. You get scared. You get up and go to the screen. You start shouting at the screen. You try to clean the blood off the screen with a rag. You try to negotiate with the monsters on the screen. Does anything change? No, because the screen is neutral. The screen only reflects light. The movie does not come from the screen. It comes from the projector that is behind you, in the booth, your subconscious. Your dominant archetype is the roll of film that is put in the projector. If you have the role of the victim put in, the screen, the universe, has no choice but to show you executioners. The universe is an obedient butler. If you project need for punishment, the universe brings you someone who punishes you. It is not cruelty, it is vibrational physics. Therefore, let's stop analyzing the screen. Let's look at the movie to deduce which role is put in. We are going to analyze 3 key areas of your life: relationships, money, and body. This is the most brutal and precise mirror. Nobody comes into your life by accident. Your partners, friends, and enemies are actors hired by your archetype so that the play makes sense. Case A. The magnet for tyrants. If you are surrounded by people who control you, criticize you, tell you what to do, or humiliate you, the mirror is shouting at you that you are in the archetype of the child or the servant. A tyrant cannot exist without a subject. If you get on your knees, the other feels forced to stand over you. It is a dance. If you complain that your partner is dominant, ask yourself, at what moment did I give up my crown? You hired the tyrant vibrationally, so you wouldn't have to take responsibility. Case B. The hospital for souls. If you always attract broken, addicted, depressed people, people without money or misunderstood people, if you feel that your mission is to fix them or save them, the mirror tells you that you are in the archetype of the savior, rescuer, a variant of the martyr. You need the other to be broken for you to feel superior and useful. If the other healed and became powerful, it would panic you because they would no longer need you. Your relationship is not love, it is archetypal codependency. Case C. The desert. Invisibility. If you don't attract anyone, if you feel that you are invisible, if nobody invites you, nobody looks at you, nobody considers you, the mirror tells you that you are in the archetype of the ghost or the chameleon. Your signal is so weak, your fear of being seen is so great that you have achieved your goal, to disappear. It is not that nobody likes you, it is that vibrationally you are not there. Diagnostic question. Look at the 5 people closest to you. What role do they force you to play? Do they force you to be the strong one, the fool, the provider, the shoulder to cry on? That role is your archetype. Money is not paper. Money is frozen energy of gratitude. Money is how the world tells you, I value what you contribute. Your financial situation is the direct mirror of your archetypal self-worth. Case A. The sieve, money that comes in and goes out. You earn money, but something always happens and it leaves. Repairs, fines, unforeseen expenses. You never retain. This is the archetype of the adolescent. The adolescent wants to enjoy, but does not want to build. Or it is the archetype of the unworthy. I don't deserve to have so much, so I get rid of it unconsciously. Case B. The drought, the glass ceiling. You work hard, you are intelligent, but you don't go past a certain level of income. It is as if there were an invisible barrier. This is the archetype of the servant employee. The servant believes that money is limited and comes from a master, boss, client. The servant exchanges time for money, You can never be rich being a servant because time is limited. To break the ceiling, you need to move to the archetype of the creator or sovereign who does not exchange time, but creates value and systems. Case C, the roller coaster. Sometimes you have a lot, sometimes nothing. This is the archetype of the player, gambler. You are addicted to the adrenaline of survival. Stability bores you. Your archetype needs the drama of being on the edge of the abyss to feel alive. Diagnostic question. If money were a person, how would it treat you? Does it visit you little? Does it visit you and run away? Does it treat you with respect and stay with you? The way money treats you is the way you treat yourself. Your body is the suit that your archetype wears, and with time the suit takes the shape of the character. Psychosomatics is the science of reading the archetype in biology. Slumping shoulders and hollowed chest. It is the posture of the victim. It protects the heart. It says, "Don't hit me." It closes the lung capacity. Fear of life. Extreme rigidity. Clenched jaw. Back problems. It is the posture of the rigid warrior or the controller. You carry the weight of the world. You do not flow. You break before you bend. Overweight as a shield. Often, not always, but often it is the archetype of the protector. Fat is a physical barrier between you and the world so that they don't hurt you, or a way of becoming big to impose respect if you feel small inside. Weak or childish voice. It is the archetype of the child. It asks permission to speak. It fears occupying sound space. Mirror exercise. Strip, literally or figuratively, in front of the mirror. Do not look at whether you are handsome or ugly. Look at the attitude of your body. Does that body look like a king? Does it look like a beggar? Does it look like a tired soldier? Your biology is manifesting your psychology. If you want to change your mind, sometimes the fastest thing is to start by changing the posture of the body, faking the physical archetype. Sometimes the archetype is not evident in the external, but in the internal. They are subtle roles that we play in society. Identify if you are one of these. 1. The judge. Critic, you feel smarter than the others. You observe the world and find faults in everything. You criticize the rich. You criticize the politicians. You criticize your neighbor. You believe you are realistic or ethical. In reality, you are a coward. The judge sits in the stands to criticize those who are in the arena playing the game. You criticize so you don't have to risk yourself. If you criticize imperfection, you will never launch your project because it will never be perfect. This archetype guarantees eternal mediocrity. 2. The holy martyr. I sacrifice myself for everyone. It doesn't matter, I'll endure it. You expect that one day they will give you a medal or raise a statue to you for your suffering. Breaking news. Nobody is going to give you a medal. People will simply get used to using you. The martyr is a passive-aggressive manipulator. They use guilt. Look at everything I did for you to control others. 3. The prince, Bafianchu princess. You believe you are special and that the rules do not apply to you. You arrive late. You do not keep promises. You spend what you do not have. You expect VIP treatment without having paid for the entrance. This archetype leads you to constant frustration because the real world does not treat you like the royalty you believe you are. Because you haven't earned the crown, you only demand it. 4. The wounded hermit. You have withdrawn from the world. People are bad. I prefer to be alone with my books, your cats. You disguise your social fear as spiritual wisdom or elevated introversion. In reality, you are hiding. The hermit is wise if he then comes down from the mountain to share. If he stays up forever, he is just a fugitive. This is the hardest part to accept. If your archetype causes you pain, poverty, and loneliness, why the hell do you keep acting it? Why don't you let it go this very day? Because it pays you. There is a secondary gain, a hidden reward. You have to find what the currency of your archetype is. The victim wins innocence and attention. If it is the fault of others, you don't have to make an effort. And people tell you, poor thing. That is a potent drug. The martyr wins moral superiority. You feel better than the selfish people around you. The saboteur wins security. By not succeeding, you don't expose yourself to criticism or envy. You keep yourself safe in the cave. The child wins protection. He doesn't have to pay emotional bills. Fire question. Are you willing to renounce the attention, the innocence, and the security to be free and rich? Most people say yes with the mouth and no with the subconscious. The king is not innocent. He is responsible. The king does not seek attention out of pity. He commands it through power. The king is not safe. He is exposed. The price of the crown is losing the benefits of the beggar. Are you willing to pay the price? We are going to finish this diagnosis with 3 questions that you must answer in your diary or in your mind right now. Do not lie to me. Lie to yourself if you want, but you know that I know the truth. Which is your favorite complaint? That phrase that you always repeat, I don't have time, I don't have money, I'm tired, nobody understands me. Your favorite complaint is the advertising slogan of your archetype. Who are you waiting for? Are you waiting for a Prince Charming, for a talent scout, for the government to change, for your partner to change? He who waits is a child. The adult goes and does it. If tomorrow you had massive success, unlimited money, and perfect love, what is the worst thing that could happen? The first thing that comes to your mind. My family would ask me for money. My partner would feel inferior. I would lose my privacy. That fear is the exact reason why your Saboteur archetype keeps you where you are. Chapter 4. From Hero to Magician, the Quantum Leap. Hollywood has lied to you. Literature has lied to you. Even Joseph Campbell, the great scholar of mythology, told you only half of the story. They have sold us the hero's journey as the pinnacle of the human experience. You already know the script. An ordinary protagonist receives a call, rejects the call, crosses the threshold. He faces terrible trials, fights enemies, bleeds, sweats, almost dies, kills the dragon, and returns home changed. It is a beautiful story. It moves us. It makes us eat popcorn. But I have an uncomfortable question for you. Do you really want to live like that? Do you really want your life to be an endless succession of battles? Do you really want every cent you earn, every relationship you maintain, and every success you achieve to cost you blood, sweat, and tears? The hero is an archetype addicted to adrenaline and conflict. To be a hero, you need a villain. It is a structural requirement. If you identify with the hero, your subconscious will spend your life. It will manifest dragons so that you have something to decapitate. You will manifest debts to be able to defeat them. You will manifest diseases to be able to be a surviving warrior. The hero operates under Newton's law, action and reaction, force against force. Striving and pushing the rock uphill, it is a valid way to live. But it is slow, painful, and primitive. It is Stone Age technology. There is a superior level, a software update that very few download. It is the archetype of the magician. The magician does not climb the mountain carrying the rock. The magician makes the mountain bow before him. The magician does not fight the dragon. The magician understands that the dragon is an illusion of his mind and dissolves it, or transmutes it into an ally. The magician does not operate by force, Newton, but by frequency, quantum. Welcome to the quantum leap. Today we are going to leave the sword on the ground. You have fought enough. Today you are going to pick up the wand. Today you are going to learn that reality is not something that is conquered, but something that is summoned. Let's understand the mechanics of these 2 archetypes so that you can choose. The hero believes in external causality. He believes that the world is solid, real, and is out there. To change his life, the hero tries to manipulate matter with his hands. He works more hours. He argues with people to convince them. He saves cent by cent. He does strict diets based on willpower. His premise is, I have to make it happen. He lives in the world of effects. He tries to change the reflection in the mirror by cleaning the glass with fury. He exhausts himself. The magician knows the hidden truth. The world is not solid. It is a hologram projected. By consciousness, the magician believes in internal causality. He knows that as above, so below, as within, so without. To change his life, the magician manipulates his own energy. He changes his belief. He changes his emotion. He changes his focus. His premise is, I have to become it to see it. He lives in the world of causes. If he wants to change the reflection in the mirror, he simply smiles, and the reflection, reality, has no choice but to smile back at him. The hero pursues, which implies that the goal flees. The magician attracts, which implies that the goal comes. Do you see the difference? One spends energy, the other accumulates and directs it. This is not just mysticism, it is quantum physics. The double-slit experiment demonstrated that subatomic particles, the raw material of reality, behave differently depending on whether they are being observed or not. If you do not observe them, they are waves, infinite possibilities. If you observe them, they collapse into particles, into a concrete reality. The hero ignores this. The hero believes that matter is already fixed. The magician uses the observer effect. The magician knows that his attention is the most powerful tool in the universe. Wherever he puts his attention, his observation, reality collapses and solidifies. If you focus on your debts, as the victim or the worried hero does, you are collapsing the quantum wave into more debts. You are solidifying the problem with your gaze. The magician withdraws his attention from the problem, lets it go back to being a wave possibility, and puts his radical attention on the solution, imagined wealth. By observing the internal wealth, the external wealth begins to coagulate. The quantum leap is simply the paradigm shift from seeing is believing, hero, to believing is seeing, magician. In the tarot, the magician's card has 4 tools on the table: a wand, a cup, a sword, and a pentacle, coin. These are not objects, they are technologies of consciousness. To stop being a suffering hero and be a magician who creates, you must master these 4 tools. 1. The wand, fire will. One-directional attention. The magic wand is not made of wood. It is your capacity to focus. Most people have a broken wand. Their attention is scattered on TikTok, in the news, in gossip. Their energy escapes through 1,000 holes. The magician has a laser attention. He can hold an image in his mind, his desire, without getting distracted, without doubting, without contradicting himself. Where you point the wand, energy flows. If you point to poverty, you create poverty. If you point to the empire, you create the empire. 2. The cup, water emotion. The feeling of the wish fulfilled. The hero thinks the desire. The magician feels the desire. The cup is your heart. It is the magnetic container. Thought is electric, sends the signal. Emotion is magnetic, attracts the event. The magician does not say, "I want to be rich." The magician generates in his body the exact chemistry of gratitude, security, and pleasure that he would feel if he were already rich. He fills his cup before the wine arrives. 3. The sword, air intellect, the decree and silence. The sword serves to cut. What does it cut? Doubt. Nonsense. Distractions. The magician uses the word, abracadabra, I create as I speak, to decree his reality. But he also uses the sword to keep silence. The hero tells his plans to everyone and they ruin them. The magician knows that contained energy accumulates, to know, to will, to dare, and to keep silent. Why fought the pentacle, earth body, inspired action. This is where many confuse the magician with the lazy dreamer. The magician acts, but his action is different from the hero's. The hero does forced action, fights against the current. The magician does inspired action, Wu Wei. The magician waits to be aligned, and when he receives the signal, he acts with devastating precision and speed. He does less, but achieves more. It is the difference between rowing against the current, hero, and setting the sail to take advantage of the wind, magician. What does a magician do when he has a problem? The hero draws the sword and attacks the problem. He gets stressed, he doesn't sleep. The magician does alchemy. Imagine that you are fired from your job. Hero's reaction: panic, fighting, sending 500 resumes with desperation, feeling like a failure, struggling to survive. Magician's response: stop, go inward. Question: how have I created this? What vibration of mine has collapsed this event? He recognizes that the dismissal is not an attack but a reorientation. He uses the energy of fear and transmutes it into enthusiasm for the new. He visualizes the new ideal job. He feels that he already has it, and from that calm, he makes a call or sends an email. Result: he gets a better job, with less effort in half the time. The magician does not waste crises. He transmutes lead crisis into gold. He understands that the obstacle is the path. Listen to how you speak. There you will know if you are hero or magician. The hero pleads, he asks, he waits. I hope it goes well for me. I hope to be lucky. I'm going to try to do it. Please, God, help me. These phrases vibrate in lack. They imply that you do not have the power, that the power is outside and you have to borrow it. The magician does not ask. The magician decrees, the magician commands. I am the resurrection and the life. I decree that this business is a success. I am grateful that health flows in me now. The magician speaks with the authority of one who knows that his word is law in his universe. He does not speak of reality, he speaks to reality. And reality, which is consciousness, obeys. Try this. Stop asking the universe for things as if it were a whimsical Santa Claus. Start thanking it as if it were your loyal partner who has already fulfilled the order. Change. Please, may they call me, for thank you because the phone is ringing with good news. Feel the change in posture. That is moving from hero, beggar, to magician, king. Why is it so difficult to make the leap? Because we are addicted to drama. The hero archetype gives us dopamine. We like telling our friends how difficult our life is. You don't know what happened to me. I'm exhausted. I work 14 hours. We like to be the martyr of the movie. It makes us feel important. If I take away your problems, what are you going to talk about? If your life becomes easy, magical, and fluid, won't you get bored? The magician has renounced the addiction to suffering. The magician prefers peace to drama, and that requires a detoxification. You have to be willing for your life to be boring, by Hollywood standards. No explosions, no fights to the death, but immensely rich, deep, and pleasant for your soul's standards. You have to stop glorifying hard work as the only virtue. You have to stop applauding sacrifice. Start admiring ease. When you see someone who earns money easily and happily, do not envy or judge. Bless them, say, that is a magician, I want that. Change your altar of worship, remove the god of effort and put the god of flow. How is this done today, Tuesday morning? Step 1, the sacred pause. The hero reacts immediately. The magician pauses. When something bad happens, do not react, do not shout, do not cry. Do not send that angry message. Freeze, breathe. Enter the 0 point, the space between the stimulus and the response. In that void, remember, I am the creator, not the victim. Choose your response from the vision of the desired final result, not from the present fear. Step 2. The reality diet. Stop consuming reality that reinforces the hero-victim. Turn off the news. It is pure narrative of victims and executioners. Stay away from people who only talk about problems. Start consuming reality of magicians. Read biographies of people who changed the world with their mind. Listen to music that raises your frequency. Step 3. Act as if. The Stanislavski method applied to life. Ask yourself before every decision, what would the magical version do? Would the magician worry about this $50 electricity bill? No. The magician knows he is infinite. So pay the bill with tranquility, without contracting the stomach. By acting the tranquility, you invoke the reality of tranquility. Step 4. Look for synchronicities. The hero looks for logical results. The magician looks for winks from the universe. Start noticing the coincidences. You thought of someone and they called you. You needed a book and you found it. Those are the signs that you have entered the quantum field. Celebrate them. Every time you celebrate a synchronicity, you tell the universe, yes, I like this. A vital warning. The leap to the magician has a trap, arrogance. The black magician or the sorcerer is one who uses his mental power to manipulate others, to inflate his ego, or to control. I am so powerful that I can make that person love me by force. That is black magic. And it has a brutal karma. The true magician, white magician, aligns his personal will with the divine will. He does not say, I do this. He says, the universe does it through me. He stays humble. He knows that he is the channel, not the source. He uses his magic to create harmony, beauty, and freedom, not to subdue. If you use these techniques from the wounded ego, You will fall back to the level of the hero, or worse, the villain, and you will have to fight again. Keep your heart pure. Intention is the strongest spell. When you start operating as a magician, there is a delay. You do the mental ritual, you visualize, you feel, and the next day the 3D reality remains the same. The hero in you will shout, "See, it doesn't work, it's a scam. Grab the sword and start fighting." The magician knows that 3D reality is dense, and it takes time to turn. It is like an ocean liner. You have turned the rudder, but the ship takes a few kilometers to change course visibly. The magician holds the vision during the delay. He does not doubt. He persists in the frequency. He knows that the seed is planted and is growing underground. He does not dig it up to see if it has roots. He trusts. Trust is the currency of the quantum kingdom. If you doubt, you cancel the spell. If you trust despite appearances, the miracle is inevitable. In video games, there are NPCs, non-playable characters. They are filler characters programmed to say the same phrases and walk the same routes. They do not have free will. The hero often is just a glorified NPC. He follows the system's script. The magician is the player. The magician has control. He can hack the game. He can find the shortcuts. Today I hand you the controller of the console. Stop being a background character in the simulation of others. Stop reacting to the events that the server throws at you. Start programming, start writing the code. Look at your hands. They are not made to carry chains. They are made to weave realities. Look at your mind. It is not a warehouse of worries. It is a factory of universes. The quantum leap is not far away. It is not in the Himalayas. It is a thought away. It is the distance between I have to fight to get it and it is already mine. Cross that mental bridge. Chapter 5. The Shadow. The Hidden Treasure in the Darkness. They have lied to you about goodness. Since you were a child, they taught you to be a good boy or a good girl. They told you that anger was bad, that selfishness was a sin, that ambition was dirty, that unbridled sexuality was shameful, that pride was dangerous. And you, wanting to be loved, took all those parts of yourself. You put them in a sack, tied them with chains, and threw them into the deepest basement of your subconscious. You locked the door and threw away the key. You built yourself a bright and smiling mask, the mask of the persona. You told the world, "Look, I am all light. I have no darkness. I am harmless." And what has been the result? You feel incomplete. You feel weak. You lack energy. And worst of all, the people who did not repress their darkness, those who are a little selfish, ambitious, and aggressive, those are the ones who are keeping the money, the power, and the success that you desire. You ask yourself, why if I am so good, am I doing so poorly? You are doing poorly precisely because you are too good. You have castrated your power. You have amputated half of your soul to fit into a society of sheep. But to be a magician, to be a creator of reality, you need the totality of your energy. You cannot manifest an empire with half the battery. Welcome to the basement. Welcome to the kingdom of the shadow. Today we are going to go down there. Not to fight the monsters, but to rescue them. Because it turns out that the monster of your anger is actually the guardian of your motivation. The monster of your selfishness is the guardian of your health. And your ambition is the engine of your prosperity. If you want the gold, you have to get your hands dirty with earth. Carl Jung, the father of depth psychology, defined the shadow as everything we do not want to be. But the shadow is not evil. It is simply the rejected. If you were born into a family of thieves, your shadow could be honesty. If you were born into a family of cold intellectuals, your shadow is emotion. The shadow is unlived life. Imagine that your shadow is a giant beach ball. You spend your life trying to keep that ball submerged under the water so that no one sees it. No, I am not angry. You push the ball down. No, I do not want money. I am spiritual. You push the ball down. No, sex does not matter to me. You push the ball down. Do you know how much energy it costs to keep a beach ball underwater 24 hours a day? It is exhausting. It consumes 80% of your vital energy, libido. That is why you are tired. That is why you have depression. That is why you get sick. Your energy is not available to create your future because it is occupied repressing your past. And what is worse, physics says that pressure seeks an exit. If you get distracted for a second, boom, The ball jumps out of the water with violence. That is the day you explode and shout at your partner over a nonsense. It is the day you have a panic attack. It is the day you get drunk and make a fool of yourself. The shadow always wins. Either you invite it to the table or it kicks the door down. Let's analyze why modern goodness is a trap for manifestation. Many men and women believe that being harmless is being virtuous. Jordan Peterson explained it masterfully. A rabbit is not virtuous because it does not eat wolves. The rabbit does not eat wolves because it cannot. That is not goodness, that is weakness. To be truly good, you must have the capacity to be dangerous and the discipline not to be. If you are harmless, you are not good. You are a victim waiting to happen. The archetype of the magician requires strength. It requires the capacity to say no and make the earth tremble. It requires the capacity to defend your territory. It requires sacred aggressiveness to pursue your goals against all odds. If you have repressed your aggressiveness in the shadow, you become a passive-aggressive being. You become the nice guy or the good girl who expects the world to pay them for being submissive. The universe does not pay submission. The universe pays audacity. You have to recover your teeth, not to bite innocence, but to bite life and tear off your piece of success. How do you know what is in your shadow if it is in the unconscious? And by definition, you cannot see it. Easy. Look at what you hate. The shadow projects itself. Everything that irritates you, disgusts you, or infuriates you disproportionately in others is yours. Do you get deeply annoyed by arrogant and stuck-up people? It is because you have an arrogance and a need to shine repressed in your basement. Your shadow screams at you, "Let me go out and shine." And seeing another doing it, you feel envy disguised as moral judgment. Do you get annoyed by selfish people who only think of themselves? It is because you have abandoned yourself to please others. Your shadow claims, "I also want to take care of myself, I also want to be first." Do you get annoyed by rich and materialistic people? It is because you have a voracious ambition that you do not allow yourself to recognize. This is hard to swallow. The ego kicks, "No, I'm not like that idiot." Yes, you are. If you weren't, his behavior would not activate you emotionally. You would see it as you see a tree or a stone with indifference. If there is emotion, even if it is hate, there is resonance. Be grateful to your enemies. Be grateful to the people you dislike. They are projectors of your shadow. They are showing you where your gold is buried. To rewrite your reality and become a magnet of power, you need to go down to the basement and release 3 specific prisoners. Society told you they were criminals. I tell you they are your war generals. 1. The monster of aggressiveness, your engine. Repressing anger is castrating the will. Anger in its pure state is not violence, it is forward force. It is the energy that says, "Enough, I want that. Get out of my way." Without this energy, you cannot break inertia. You cannot undertake, you cannot set boundaries. If you release your aggressiveness and refine it, it becomes unstoppable determination. It becomes the capacity to work 12 hours on your dream without getting tired. It becomes leadership. 2. The monster of selfishness, your guardian. We have been taught to give until we are empty. Healthy selfishness is the basis of survival and self-esteem. It is the capacity to say, "Me first." If you do not fill yourself first, what are you going to give to others? The martyr gives from lack and expects something in return. The healthy selfish person fills themselves to overflowing and gives from abundance without expecting anything. You need to integrate your selfishness to charge what you are worth, to rest when you need it, and to move away from vampires. 3. The monster of sexuality, young desire, your creativity. Sexual energy is the primordial creative energy. It is the same force. If you repress your desire, your lust, your sensuality, you kill your charisma. Magnetic people, great leaders and stars, have a strong connection with their eros. I'm not just talking about physical sex. I am talking about passion for life. I am talking about desiring things with hunger. If you are ashamed of your desire, "I shouldn't want so much money, I shouldn't want that body," you cut the flow of life. Release your hunger. The universe loves the hungry. Here comes the most surprising twist. We do not only hide the bad in the basement, Often we hide the best of us. This is called the golden shadow. Why would you hide your talent, your intelligence, or your beauty? Out of fear. Fear of shining and being envied. Fear of standing out and being attacked. Fear of surpassing your parents and making them feel bad. Fear of the responsibility that greatness entails. Many of you are not afraid of your darkness. You are terrified of your light. As Marianne Williamson said, "It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us." You project your golden shadow onto idols. You admire that guru, that singer, that businessman. You say he is great, he is a genius. What you are seeing in them is your own genius projected onto an external screen. If you did not have that seed inside, you could not recognize it outside. Going down to the basement also implies picking up your crown. It implies stopping admiring others and starting to admire yourself. It implies saying, "That greatness I see in him is mine. I claim it. I take it out of the sack." How is this done in practice? How do you integrate the shadow? It is not intellectual, it is visceral. You have to eat the shadow. You have to let that energy flow through your nervous system without judging it. Practical exercise. The dialogue with the demon. Close your eyes. Visualize a door that goes down to your basement. Invite one of your rejected aspects to come up. For example, your greedy ambition. Give it a shape. How does it look? Is it a wolf? Is it a ruthless banker? Is it a golden dragon? Do not attack it. Sit it in front of you. Ask it, "What gift do you have for me?" Listen to the answer. The wolf of greed could tell you, "I have the energy so you stop worrying about bills. I have the nose for business. I have the hunger you lack to get off the sofa." Ask it, "What do you need from me to not be destructive?" The wolf will tell you, "I need you to give me a mission. If you do not give me a mission, I will eat your family. If you give me a mission, I will bring you the world." Now, visualize that being entering your body. Feel its cold, hot, or electric energy. Feel yourself becoming bigger, denser, more dangerous, and more capable. Say, "I accept you, I integrate you. Now you are part of my army." When you do this, you stop being a good boy and you become a complete man-woman. You stop being harmless and you become formidable. Imagine that you want to launch a rocket into space, your new reality. You need a massive explosion. The energy of goodness is diesel fuel, slow, safe, boring. The energy of the shadow is nuclear fuel. When you integrate the shadow, you feel an incredible surge of vitality. You no longer spend energy repressing the beach ball. That energy is released. And furthermore, you win the energy of the monster. Suddenly you sleep less and you are more awake. You have a sexual magnetism that you didn't have before. You speak with an authority that makes people shut up and listen. And you no longer ask for permission. You take what is yours. The quantum leap we were looking for in the previous chapter requires this energy. You cannot jump into the abyss being light as a feather. You need weight. You need gravity. The shadow gives you substance. It makes you real. Spiritual people often seem spaced out, ethereal without strength. They are pure light without roots. The wind carries them away. The integrated dark magician is like a mountain. He has his head in the stars, but his feet in the magma of the center of the earth. Nothing moves him. Carl Jung said a phrase that should be tattooed on your mind. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. If you do not do this shadow work, if you insist on being good and repressing your darkness, the shadow will come out through the back door. It will become fate. Your repressed aggressiveness will become an autoimmune disease, your body attacking itself. Your repressed ambition will become a tyrant boss who exploits you. You live the ambition through another. Your repressed sexuality will become an unfaithful partner or a hidden perversion. The universe will force you to face your shadow. You choose. Do you face it in the laboratory of your mind, consciousness, or do you face it on the battlefield of life, misfortune? Shadow work is the best insurance policy against tragedy. If you integrate the monster inside, you do not need the monster to appear outside. Some of you will be afraid. If I integrate my evil, will I become evil? No, you will become capable. There is a giant difference between having a sword and using it to kill innocents. The integrated magician has the sword sharp. He carries it on his waist. Everyone sees the sword. They know he can use it. That is why they respect him. That is why no one attacks him. But the magician chooses to keep the sword in the scabbard. He chooses peace from a position of power, not of weakness. That is true morality. Choosing not to do harm when you could do it. Rewriting your reality implies becoming a force of nature. The sea is beautiful, but it is dangerous. The sun gives life, but it burns. You must be the same, beautiful and dangerous. Only then will the universe take you seriously. In the end, shadow work is an act of radical self-love. It is loving all of you. Loving the you who cries, but also the you who wants to kill. Loving the generous you, but also the stingy you. When you stop fighting with yourself, the internal civil war ends. And when there is peace inside, there is peace outside. When you are united inside, the world unites to serve you. Manifestation becomes instantaneous because there is no counter-intention. Before, your conscious said, "I want money," but your shadow said, "Money is dirty." Result, friction, zero money. Now your conscious says, "I want money," and your shadow, now your ally, says, "Yes, let's go hunt it. I have the claws to get it." Result, light speed. Chapter 6, The Alchemist, Transmuting Lead into Gold. In the Middle Ages, bearded and obsessive men locked themselves in dark basements surrounded by furnaces and test tubes. They were looking for the philosopher's stone. They sought a legendary substance capable of converting a vile, heavy and worthless metal like lead into a noble, shiny and eternal metal like gold. History says they were crazy, that it was a pseudoscience. But history is wrong. The true alchemists were never interested in physical metals. Lead and gold were codes. They were metaphors to mislead the church and the profane. Lead is your current state of consciousness, heavy, opaque, toxic, full of fear, debt, inertia, and victimhood. Gold is your ideal state, shiny, conductive, incorruptible, full of power, wealth, and sovereignty. The laboratory is not a basement, it is your mind. The fire is not a bonfire, it is your emotions. And the philosopher's stone is not an object, it is a metaphysical secret. Welcome to the art of transmutation. Until now, when you had a problem, lead, your reaction was to flee from it, hide it, or cry. The alchemist does something radically different. He cooks it. The alchemist knows that lead and gold are, in essence, the same thing vibrating at different frequencies. The alchemist does not throw away the trash, he turns it into fuel. Today you are going to stop being afraid of your crises. Today you are going to look at your bank account in red, your broken heart or your anxiety, and you are going to smile with a greedy grimace saying, "Excellent, I have a lot of raw material. I am going to become rich." To understand alchemy, you must understand the Hermetic law of polarity. The Kybalion says, everything is dual, everything has poles, its opposite is identical in nature, but different in degree. Think about it. What is the difference between heat and cold? They are not two different things. There is no thing called cold. Cold is simply the absence of heat. They are the same thing, temperature, in different degrees of vibration. If you look at a thermometer, where does the heat end and the cold begin? There is no dividing line. It is a continuous slider. This is the key to everything. Fear and courage are the same energy. Hate and love are the same energy. Passion, focus. Poverty and wealth are the same energy, relationship with the resource. Why is this important? Because if they were different things, you could not change one for the other. You cannot turn a pear into an apple, but you can turn hot water into cold water, or ice into steam, simply by changing the vibration. The alchemist does not try to destroy fear. That is impossible. It is energy. The alchemist slides the fear across the scale until turning it into enthusiasm or prudence. The alchemist slides hate until turning it into constructive passion. You do not need to look for gold outside of yourself. Your lead, your current problems, is gold disguised as low vibration. You already have everything you need. You only need to raise its frequency. Here is where cheap New Age fails and alchemy triumphs. Positive thinking tells you, ignore the bad, look the other way, pretend nothing is happening, spray perfume on the trash. That does not work. If you spray perfume on the trash, you still have trash, now with a smell of flowers. In the end, it rots and smells worse. Alchemy does not ignore the trash, lead. Alchemy takes the trash and puts it in the composter. It uses the heat of decomposition to create fertilizer, and it uses that fertilizer to cultivate a rose garden. The alchemist enters the problem. He does not deny the debt. He looks the debt in the eyes. He feels the pressure. He feels the fear. And he uses that tremendous pressure as the energy necessary to catapult himself towards wealth. Positive thinking is repression. Transmutation is utilization. Nothing is wasted in the alchemist's laboratory. Everything serves. Many people say, "I cannot rewrite my reality because I have too many problems. My life is a chaos." The alchemist responds, "Perfect. You are rich in raw material. To make gold, you need lead. If your life were perfect, placid and boring, you would have no potential energy to create a great empire. You would be in thermal death, static equilibrium. Chaos is free energy waiting to be ordered. Crisis is pure kinetic energy. Look at the most successful people in the world. Almost none come from a perfect and quiet life. They come from abuses, from bankruptcies, from wars, from brutal rejections. They had tons of lead, and instead of dying crushed by the weight, they used that weight to build muscle. If today you are suffering, I congratulate you. You have the bricks to build your castle. Pain is high-density energy. Apathy is low-density energy. It is easier to make a desperate man rich, much painful energy, than a comfortable and bored man. Your desperation is your most valuable asset right now. Do not waste it crying. Use it to cook. Let's go to practice. How is an emotion cooked? Imagine that you have been fired unjustly, or that your partner has left you for another. You feel anger. You feel a fire in your chest. You feel like destroying. The common man, victim, swallows the anger, gets depressed, complains with friends, lets the anger burn him inside. The alchemist recognizes the anger, says, "Wow, how much energy has just been released. This is nuclear fuel." He does not discharge it against the person. That is wasting the fuel in a useless explosion. He channels the fire towards an objective. He takes that fire to the gym and trains like a beast. He transmutes anger into muscle. He takes that fire to his business and works 16 hours straight without fatigue, focused on massive success as the best revenge. He transmutes anger into empire. This is called sublimation. It is taking a low and dense emotion and raising its frequency so that it expresses itself on a higher plane. Unsatisfied sexual desire can be transmuted into artistic or business creativity. Fear can be transmuted into hyperattention and preparation. Sadness can be transmuted into depth and spiritual connection. Never waste an intense emotion. It is gasoline. If you are crying on the floor, get up and put those tears in your work of art. As Carrie Fisher said, "Take your broken heart and turn it into art." That is pure alchemy. Now let's talk about external events. Reality throws a stone at you. The hero tries to break the stone or go around it. The alchemist looks at the stone and says, "What can I build with this?" There is a magic formula that the alchemist uses before every disaster. This is not happening to me, this is happening for me. Practical example. The debt. You have an enormous debt. It takes away your sleep. It is heavy lead. How do you transmute it? You cannot simply think positive and expect it to disappear. Transmute the significance of the debt. Stop seeing it as a burden of the past. Start seeing it as a mandatory investment in your future. The debt is your personal trainer. It is forcing you to develop financial intelligence. It is forcing you to stop being lazy. It is forcing you to look for new sources of income that, without the pressure of the debt, you would have never looked for. Thanks to that debt, you will become a person capable of generating millions. When you pay the debt, the capacity to generate millions stays with you. Therefore, the debt was the price of your mastery. Thank you, debt. You have become gold, wisdom and skill. Practical example. Envy, haters. Someone attacks you or criticizes you. It is lead, it is poison. The alchemist does not defend himself. He uses criticism as validation. If they attack me, it is because I am visible. It is because I shine. Thank you for confirming to me that I am important. He takes the energy of the attack and uses it to reinforce his certainty. He transmutes the poison into medicine for his ego. For a chemical reaction to occur, you need heat, you need friction. If the atoms are still and cold, they do not combine. If you heat the flask, the atoms agitate, collide, and transform. In your life, problems are the friction. The heat is uncomfortable. It burns. But it is necessary. The alchemist does not flee from the heat. He gets into the furnace. He accepts pressure as the agent of change. Coal and diamond are the same element, carbon. The only difference is that the diamond has endured an infernal pressure and heat for millennia. Coal has not. If you ask to be a diamond and the universe sends you pressure, problems, do not complain. The universe is giving you exactly what you asked for, the furnace to crystallize your coal. Hold the pressure. Do not explode. Do not flee. Let the pressure change your molecular structure. Let the pressure kill the weak child and leave only the diamond man, woman. This is the Latin formula engraved on the arms of the Baphomet and in ancient texts. It is the algorithm of transformation. To create a new reality, first you have to destroy the old one. 1. Solve, dissolve, break. It is the phase of destruction. It is when your life falls to pieces. You are fired, they leave you, you get sick. The old structure, the lead, is melting. It hurts. You lose the form. You feel lost, liquid, chaotic. The ego screams, everything is going wrong. The alchemist says, good. The metal is melting. Now it is malleable. If the metal stayed hard and cold, you could not give it a new form. You need it to melt. Accept the chaos. It is the necessary dissolution phase. 2. Coagulate, solidify. It is the phase of reconstruction. Once you are liquid, humble, open, without old structures, you start to pour that energy into a new mold, the mold of your new vision. You start to solidify new habits, new beliefs, new actions. And since the metal is now gold, elevated consciousness, the new structure is magnificent. You cannot have the coagula, the new life, without passing through the solver, the destruction of the old. Most want the resurrection without the crucifixion. It does not work that way. Embrace the destruction. It is the clearing of the land. What is the secret ingredient that makes all this work? What turns pain into power? Is it a technique, a mantra? No. It is the consciousness of the observer. It is your perception. The philosopher's stone is the capacity to see the hidden perfection in everything that happens. It is the vision of God. The common man sees a problem. The alchemist sees a training challenge. The event is the same, the physical reality is identical, but the chemical reaction is opposite. One generates cortisol, death. The other generates dopamine and testosterone, life. You possess the philosopher's stone. It is in your frontal lobe. It is your capacity to relabel reality. You have the divine power to assign meaning. If you say this is a tragedy, it will be a tragedy. If you say this is the start of my legend, it will be the start of your legend. Reality has no intrinsic meaning. It is neutral. It is raw material. You give it the form with your label. We are going to install an alchemical furnace in your mind so you can use it every time negativity attacks you. Step 1. Identify the lead. You feel a negative emotion, fear, jealousy, anger, or face a problem. Do not deny it. Feel its weight. Say, here is lead. Step 2. Put it in the crucible. Visualize a golden cauldron in your solar plexus, stomach. Throw that black and heavy emotion inside the cauldron. Step 3. Ignite the fire. The fire is your intention and your breath. Breathe deeply and fast, breath of fire. Or simply visualize violet flames. Say, I command you to transmute. You are not my owner, you are my fuel. Step 4. Choose the new mold. Ask yourself, into what do I want to convert this energy? Into courage? Into money? Into beauty? Visualize the final result. Imagine that the smoke coming out of the cauldron condenses, forming that new reality. Step 5. Inspired action. Use the energy surge to do something physical immediately. Make that call. Write that email. Fix the energy in the matter. If you do not use it, it cools down and becomes lead again. The final mentality that I want you to adopt is that of total efficiency. In nature, there is no trash. The poop of an animal is food for a beetle or fertilizer for a plant. The death of one is life for another. In your psychic life, there should be no trash. Do you have a childhood trauma? Use it to develop empathy and help others, and charge for it as a therapist or mentor. Do you have a neurotic obsession? Use it to pay attention to detail in your art or programming. Are you stubborn? Use it as unshakable persistence. Stop trying to cure yourself of being who you are. Stop trying to amputate your ugly parts. Your ugly parts are your misdirected superpowers. They are only vibrating low. Turn up the volume, turn up the frequency, orient them towards the light. The alchemist looks in the mirror, sees his scars, his fears, and his errors, and says, "All of this is gold. I only have to polish it." Chapter 7. The Sovereign Sitting on the Throne. If the land is sterile, if the livestock dies, and if enemies invade the borders, it is not the fault of the land, nor the livestock, nor the enemies. It is a sign that the throne is empty, or even worse, it is a sign that on the throne sits a frightened child, a cruel tyrant or a beggar in disguise. You have done an incredible job so far. You have identified your shadows, you have transmuted your emotions, and you have awakened your magic. But magic without direction is dangerous. It is like an overflowing river. It has a lot of water, energy, but it destroys the crops instead of watering them. For the water to generate life, it needs a channel. It needs limits. It needs order. It needs a sovereign. Welcome to the central archetype, the king, the queen. This is the archetype that integrates all the others. The sovereign uses the force of the warrior, the vision of the magician and the passion of the lover, and puts them at the service of a higher purpose. Today you are going to stop being a commoner in your own life. Today you are going to climb the marble steps. Today you are going to feel the weight of the crown, and you will discover that this weight is the only thing that can give you true freedom. The majority of modern people are spiritual orphans. They live without an inner king. What does a life without a sovereign look like? It is a life of reaction, not of creation. You wake up and look at your mobile to see what the world wants from you. Emails, news, likes. You go to a job you didn't choose, but that fell to you. You eat what is there, not what nourishes you. You let yourself be carried away by the emotions of the moment. If you are sad, you do nothing. If you are motivated, you do a little. This is anarchy. Your subjects, your thoughts, your cells, your money, your time, run like headless chickens because no one gives them clear orders. Your mind tells you, let's eat pizza, and you obey. Your fear tells you, don't invest, and you obey. Your friends tell you, let's go get drunk, and you obey. You are a slave to your own impulses and to the environment. To rewrite your reality, the first act of the sovereign is a coup d'etat. You have to enter the parliament of your mind, strike a blow on the table and say, democracy is over. I am in charge here. The I of which I speak is not your small ego, it is your higher self, your vision. The sovereign does not negotiate with laziness. He does not negotiate with fear. The sovereign listens, evaluates, and decides. Be careful. Many confuse authority with authoritarianism. When you try to take control of your life, your first temptation will be to become a tyrant, the shadow of the king. The tyrant rules from fear and lack. He shouts at himself, "You are lazy, work more. You are trash." He tries to control others. Do what I say. He is rigid, paranoid, and cruel. The kingdom of the tyrant is orderly, yes, but it is sad and sterile. In the end, the subjects rebel. You get sick or depressed. The true king, sovereign, rules from peace and abundance. He does not need to shout because his authority is natural. He speaks to himself firmly but with respect. Today we are going to train because we are warriors, and we deserve a strong body. He inspires others instead of forcing them. The kingdom of the sovereign flourishes because there is order and blessing. Your goal is to be a solar king, a king who nourishes, a king who provides structure so that creativity can play safely within the walls of the castle. The tyrant builds walls to enclose, the king builds walls to protect. This is the hardest pill to swallow. The price of the crown is total responsibility. The sovereign never, under any circumstances, blames external factors. If the army loses the battle, it is the king's fault. If the harvest is lost, it is the king's responsibility. If the treasure is empty, it is the king's problem. In your life, if you are broke, it is your responsibility. If you are fat, it is your responsibility. If you are alone, it is your responsibility. The commoner says, it's just that the economy, it's just my genetics, it's just my ex. The king says, this has happened under my watch. I have allowed it or I have created it. Therefore, I have the power to change it. Assuming the blame seems heavy, but it is the most empowering act that exists. If the fault is theirs, you are a victim, and you have to wait for them to change so that you are saved. It will never happen. If the responsibility is yours, you have absolute control. The sovereign carries the weight of the world on his shoulders and does not bend because he knows his shoulders are made of divinity. Stop looking for excuses. Excuses are for peasants. Kings look for solutions. Have you noticed how powerful people speak? They speak little, they speak slowly, and when they speak, it happens. In ancient times, a royal decree was not a suggestion. It was an alteration of reality. If the king said, "Let a bridge be built here," physical reality moved until the bridge appeared. You have that same power, but you use it wrong. You use a language of plea or doubt. I'm going to try to... I wish I could. Let's see if there is luck. I don't know if I'll be able to. That language tells your subconscious, there is no one in charge. Do what you want. The sovereign uses the language of the decree. This is done. I am capable. I do not accept this. This is what is going to happen. When you decree, do not shout. Real power is silent. A small dog barks a lot, a lion roars once, and the jungle falls silent. Speak with certainty. Eliminate from your vocabulary the words of weakness, try, maybe, hope. Replace them with words of command, do, decide, know. When you take your word seriously, the universe takes you seriously. If you say you're getting up at 6 and you get up at 7, you are training your reality to know your word is trash. The king keeps his word first with himself. That is the basis of his magical authority. A king without territory is not a king. He is a philosopher. You have a sacred territory. Your energy, your time, and your attention, that is your kingdom. And the kingdom is under constant siege. Time thieves, emotional vampires, digital distractions, absurd social commitments. The main duty of the sovereign is the defense of the territory. You have to learn the art of the royal no. Many of you have the people-pleaser syndrome. You say yes to everything because you want them to love you. The king does not need them to love him. He needs them to respect him. And respect is born from limits. If someone disrespects you, out of my court, cut the relationship. If a project does not bring you value, no, without justifications. If you have to work on your dream, I am not available. Drawbridge raised. Build high walls and put golden gates. You decide who enters. You decide who leaves. Your time is the resource of the kingdom. If you let anyone enter and take the gold, your time, you are a bad ruler and your kingdom will become impoverished. Protecting your peace is a necessary act of war. In ancient myths, like that of the Fisher King, there is a mystical connection between the king and the land. If the king becomes ill, the land dries up. If the king heals, the land flourishes. The sovereign is the channel of provision. The king does not work for money. The king generates wealth. The sovereign mentality is of infinite abundance. The commoner thinks, I have to get my piece of cake before it runs out. Scarcity. The king thinks, I am the baker. I can make as many cakes as I want. Abundance. To sit on the throne, you have to change your relationship with giving and receiving. The king is generous. The king invites. The king blesses. The king creates opportunities for others. He does not do it to lose money, but to demonstrate his power. By giving, the king affirms, I have plenty, my source is inexhaustible, and that vibrational affirmation attracts more wealth. The stingy king is a contradiction. A stingy king is a beggar with a plastic crown. Activate the energy of provision. Ask yourself, how can I enrich my kingdom today? When you focus on enriching others, clients, family, world, your own treasury fills up by the law of consequence. In the right hand, the king carries the scepter, power. In the left, he sometimes carries the orb, world, or the sword. The sword of the sovereign is not for war, that belongs to the warrior. It is for judgment. It is for cutting doubt. The biggest disease of the aspirant is ambivalence. I don't know what to do. Do I do A or do I do B? What if I'm wrong? And they stay paralyzed for months or years. The sovereign knows that any decision is better than no decision. Indecision is stagnation. Stagnation is death. The king takes the sword and cuts. We will do A. What if it goes wrong? Then we will correct the course, but we move. The king lives in a state of decisive clarity. Simplify. Eliminate options. Steve Jobs, a technological king archetype, always dressed the same so as not to waste energy deciding on clothes. He used his sword to cut the trivial. Cut the trivial from your life. Decide fast. Trust your instinct. Your instinct is the accumulated wisdom of your experience. Doubt is an insult to your own intelligence. Once you sit on the throne, your job is to coordinate the other characters we have rescued in the previous chapters. You do not kill the warrior, nor the magician, nor the lover. You rule them. The sovereign calls the warrior, "We need discipline to go to the gym at 6 a.m. Warrior, take command of the body." The sovereign calls the magician, "We have a financial problem. Magician, I need a creative idea and a change of vision. Work on it." The sovereign calls the lover, "It is time to be with our partner. Lover, bring the empathy, the sensuality, and the joy. Warrior, you rest now, we do not need to fight." The king is the orchestra conductor. He ensures that the warrior does not hit the partner. He ensures that the magician does not get lost in fantasies without action. He ensures that the lover does not become hedonistic and lose the money. Psychic balance is only possible when there is a strong command center. If you feel scattered or bipolar, changing moods drastically, it is because your king has abdicated and the ministers are fighting for control. Return to the throne. Put things in order. I warn you of something. At the top it is cold. The king by definition is set apart. He cannot be friends with everyone. To direct his life, sometimes he has to make unpopular decisions. Sometimes he has to fire people. Sometimes he has to say no to loved ones to protect the greater purpose. You will feel solitude. People will want you to go back to being one of the guys, to go down to the tavern to complain with them. If you go down, you lose the crown. You have to learn to be comfortable with the distance. You have to learn to seek advice from other kings, mentors, books, God, not from your subjects. Do not ask your broke cousin how to get rich. Do not ask your single and embittered friend how to fix your marriage. Kings only consult with kings. If you do not have kings around you, consult with the dead kings, read biographies. It is better to walk alone in the right direction than accompanied toward the cliff. How is this archetype activated? It is not something mental. It is physical and spiritual. You have to crown yourself. No one else will do it. Practical exercise. Find a chair. The best one you have. Sit in it. Do not just fall into it. Sit with intention. Straighten your spine. Open your chest. Lift your chin slightly. Put your hands on the armrests or on your thighs firmly. Close your eyes. Visualize that a golden light comes down from the sky and forms a heavy structure on your head. A crown. Feel the weight. Feel how that weight anchors you to the earth and connects you with the sky. Feel your spine becoming solid gold. From this position, mentally look at your problems. Look at them from above, from the throne. Do they seem so big now, or do they seem like administrative matters that simply have to be resolved? Say aloud, I am in command. This is my kingdom. My will is law. I am the source of my provision. Maintain that posture for 5 minutes. Breathe like a king, slow and deep. Do this every morning before going out into the world. Leave the house crowned. People will notice it. They will not see the crown, but they will feel the authority. They will treat you differently. They will step aside as you pass. They will offer you opportunities, because the world is biologically programmed to look for leaders. When they see someone who governs himself, they instinctively want to follow him. Chapter 8. The Sacred Script, Reality Writing Techniques. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was made flesh. This is not just a biblical phrase, it is the physical formula for the precipitation of reality. The word Abracadabra, famous in magic tales, comes from the Aramaic avra-kedabra, which literally means I create as I speak. But there is something more powerful than speaking. Speaking is air. Words are carried away by the wind. Writing is earth. Writing is fixing the spirit into matter. When you take a pen and mark a paper, you are making the first physical manifestation of your desire. You are taking an idea from the invisible world and converting it into visible ink in the three-dimensional world. It is the first step of the birth of reality. However, most people use writing to reinforce their prison. They have victim diaries. They write, "Dear diary, today I felt sad. My boss yelled at me. I have no money. Life is hard." Do you realize what you are doing? You are using the sacred power of writing to sign and seal your misery. You are scripting your own misfortune. By writing it, you live it again, you solidify it in your neural network, and you give the order to the subconscious. This is important. File it and repeat it tomorrow. Today we are going to burn the victim's diary. Today the sovereign takes the pen. And a king does not write complaints. A king writes edicts. A king writes laws. Welcome to the sacred script. I'm going to teach you the exact syntax with which the universe is programmed. I'm going to teach you to write your future with such clarity and power that the universe will have no other choice but to align itself with the text. Before entering the mystical, let's talk about the biological. Why do I insist on writing by hand and not on a keyboard? There is a direct neurological connection called the psychomotor loop between your fingers, your hand, and your reticular activating system, RAS, in the brain. The RAS is the filter that decides what is important. When you type on a mobile, the movement is mechanical and the same for all letters. But when you write by hand, each letter requires a unique micro-movement. Your brain has to draw the thought. This requires a much greater cognitive focus. Writing by hand is like tattooing the brain. When you write your goal by hand, you tell your RAS, "This is critical. Wake up. Look for this in reality." From that moment, your brain begins to scan the environment, looking for opportunities that coincide with what you wrote. You start to see the coincidences. It is not magic yet. It is neuroscience. You are programming the radar. For this reason, the first requirement of the sacred script is paper and pen. Buy yourself a notebook that looks important, that looks like a book of magic or a royal act. Do not use a dirty napkin. Give dignity to the support where you are going to write your destiny. The universe is a quantum computer. If you write the code wrong, the program does not run or gives an error. Most people write code with bugs, errors. Error 1. Writing in the future. I will be rich. I will find love. I am going to heal. The future does not exist for the subconscious. The subconscious lives in an eternal now. If you write I will be, the universe says, okay, we will leave it for later. It is like the sign free beer tomorrow. You arrive tomorrow and the sign still says tomorrow. It never arrives. Correction. Always write in present. I am rich. I have love. I am healthy. Even if it is a lie in the current 3D, you are writing the truth of the 5D so that it comes down. Error 2. Writing from lack. I want. I want a new car. I wish to get out of debt. The word I want vibrationally means I do not have. If you say I want, you confirm the absence. The universe will give you more feeling of wanting. Correction. Write from gratitude toward possession. I am so happy and grateful now that I drive my new car. Thank you because my debts are paid. Error 3. Writing in negative. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be alone. The subconscious does not process the no. If you say don't think of a pink elephant, you think of it. If you write I don't want to be sick, the focus is on sick. Correction. Write what you do want. I am pure vitality. I am surrounded by love. The most important moment is right upon waking up. Your brain is in alpha waves, suggestible. The king gets up and dictates the laws of the day. Exercise. Take your notebook, write the date, and write 3 to 5 lines of how your day is going to be, but not as a list of tasks. I have to go to the bank. But as a list of emotional and factual results. Example: today I move with an unstoppable and magnetic energy. Today I close the sale with client X with total ease and joy. Today I receive surprising and wonderful news. Today my body feels light and strong. By doing this, you are pre-paving the way. You are sending your energetic emissaries ahead of you to clear the traffic, soften people, and align coincidences. When you leave home, you are no longer going on an adventure. You are going to walk on the rails that you yourself placed in the morning. If you do not write the script of your day, you will be an extra in someone else's script. This is where we integrate what we learned in previous chapters. Who is writing? If the victim writes, she will write complaints. If the king magician writes, he will write edicts. Exercise. Before writing, close your eyes for 10 seconds. Invoke the archetype you need. I invoke the millionaire sovereign who lives in me. Feel how your posture changes. Now write from that person. Do not write, I hope to be able to pay the rent. Voice of the frightened child. Write, my kingdom generates unlimited resources. Money flows to me to serve my purposes. I command that this financial situation be resolved with surplus. Voice of the king. Writing from the archetype creates a new neural groove. At first you will feel like an imposter. Keep writing. Writing is the rehearsal of the performance. If you write like a king every day for 30 days, your brain will end up believing that you are the king. And when the brain believes it, reality reflects it. Neville Goddard taught us this technique, and it is the most powerful tool to clean the past. Imagine that you have had a horrible day. You argued with your partner. You lost money. You felt bad. If you go to sleep with that memory, your subconscious will incubate it, and tomorrow will bring you more of the same. The echo. The sacred script allows you to rewrite the past. Literally. The past does not exist. It is only a memory trace in your neurons, and neurons can be modified. Written revision. Exercise. At the end of the day, take your notebook. Remember the negative event, the argument. Now rewrite it as you would have liked it to happen. Write it in the present or immediate past. I spoke with my partner. We understood each other perfectly. There was calm, laughter, and a loving solution. I feel at peace. While you write it, feel it. Imagine the new scene. Replace the corrupt file with the new file. If you do it with enough emotional intensity, your brain will not. It will not distinguish between the physical fact and the imagined fact. You will go to sleep with the vibration of reconciliation, not of fight. And the next day, you will be surprised to see that your partner acts as if the fight had not been so serious. You have altered the timeline. You have hacked the matrix. This technique is for large quantum leaps. You are going to write a letter from your future self, 5 years from now, to your present self. Instructions. Put the date. Today's day, but of the year 2030, or whatever it is. Place. Your dream place, e.g., my beach house in Bali. And write telling your current self how you achieved everything. But write it in the past. Dear Your Name, I am writing to you from this terrace looking at the sea. I remember when you were listening to that audiobook in 2024 and you were afraid. I want to tell you that everything turned out better than you imagined. Remember that debt that kept you awake? Haha, we paid it in 3 months. Thanks to that idea you had, it was easy. Now I have the company, the family, and the perfect health. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for doing the shadow work. Keep walking. You already won. I am waiting for you here. This letter is an anchor. It throws a hook to the future. When you read it, your brain connects with the certainty that it already happened. If it already happened, there is no fear. Fear disappears when you know the end of the movie. Write your happy ending. Read it when you doubt. A script without emotion is just bureaucracy. For the document to have legal validity in the universe, it must be signed with blood, not physical blood. Emotional blood. Emotion is the energy that charges the word. If you write, I am a millionaire, but you feel boredom or doubt, it is wet paper. You have to write until you feel something in the body. Write until you smile. Write until your skin crawls. Write until you cry with gratitude. That moment, that emotional click, is the moment when the spell has been cast. If you feel nothing, stop. Put on epic music, jump, shout, raise your energy, and write again. It is better to write one sentence with volcanic passion than 3 pages with apathy. The universe does not read your calligraphy, it reads your vibration while you were writing. In traditional magic, the magician has a book of shadows, grimoire, that no one else can see. Your sacred script notebook is private. Do not show it to anyone. Do not let anyone read your decrees. Why? First, because someone else's doubt, haha, you rich, how deluded, soils your vibration. Second, because the secret builds pressure. It is like a pressure cooker. If you open the lid to show the food, tell your plans, the steam escapes and the food does not cook. Keep the lid closed. Let the energy accumulate inside the pages. Let your notebook be an object charged with power. When you touch it, you should feel electricity. It is your contract with God. Writing the script once is good. Writing it every day is invincible. The 3D reality is dense and stubborn. It is like a stone. Your daily writing is the drop of water that falls on the stone. 1 drop does nothing. 1,000 drops make a hole. 10,000 drops split the stone in 2. Do not get frustrated. If you write "I am rich" on Monday and still poor on Tuesday, keep writing. You are reprogramming 30 or 40 years of poverty programming. Give it time. Persistence is the test of faith. If you stop writing because it doesn't work, you prove that you were an impatient hero, not a sovereign magician. The magician writes until reality surrenders, and reality always surrenders before focused persistence. You are writing, "My relationship is harmonious and full of love," and 5 minutes later, your partner yells at you. The ego says, "Liar, what you write is false, break the notebook." In that moment, you have to apply double vision. With one eye, you see the 3D, the fight. You manage it calmly. With the other eye, the third eye, you see your script. And you tell yourself, that fight is the residue of the past. My script is the prophecy of the future. I maintain my loyalty to what I have written, not to what I see. Never erase what you wrote because the present contradicts it, on the contrary. Write it with more strength the next day. Reality is soft clay. Your writing is the seal. If the clay is hard, press the seal harder. Do not throw away the seal. Chapter 9. Breaking Ancestral Chains, Archetypal Epigenetics. You believe you walk alone. You look in the mirror and see a face. You believe it is only yours. You sit down to eat and believe your tastes are yours. You feel fear when losing money and believe it is your fear. But you are wrong. You are never alone. You walk accompanied by a legion of ghosts. In your cells, in the double helix of your DNA, travel the memories, the traumas, the secrets, and the oaths of 7 generations of ancestors. They are thousands of people. Your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, they all live in you. You are the bus where they travel. And the problem is that many of them want to drive the bus. They want to finish what they left unfinished. They want to cry the tears they did not cry. They want to recover the money they lost. And they use your life to do it. This is not a poetic metaphor. It is hard biology. It is epigenetics. Science has shown that if a mouse suffers a trauma with a specific smell, its grandchildren, who never knew the grandfather or smelled that smell, will be born having fear of that smell. Trauma leaves a chemical mark on the gene, a switch turned on that is passed from generation to generation. You are that grandchild. Perhaps you have panic about scarcity, even though you have never gone hungry. Why? Because your great-grandfather lived through a war. Perhaps you have terror of being visible and shining. Why? Because your great-great-grandmother was punished for being too free. You are executing scripts you did not write. They are ancestral archetypes. Welcome to the chamber of the ancestors. Today we are going to do something sacred and dangerous. We are going to break the invisible loyalty. We are going to return the packages that are not yours. I am going to teach you to be the black sheep that becomes the golden sheep. Prepare to free your lineage by freeing yourself. Bert Hellinger, the father of family constellations, discovered a devastating principle. The child loves blindly and prefers to suffer to be equal to his parents than to be happy and different from them. This is called blind love. At the deep subconscious level, your belonging to the clan is the most important thing. If your clan is a clan of suffering women in love, and you suddenly find a wonderful partner and are happy, you will feel guilt. You will feel that you are betraying your mother and your grandmother. You will feel, who am I to be happy if they suffered? And then your saboteur archetype will destroy your relationship, so that you can return to being unhappy, return to being one of them, and recover the innocence of belonging. If your clan is a clan of poor and honest workers, and you start earning a lot of easy money, you will feel that you are bad. You will feel that you are insulting the effort of your father. And you will lose the money. You will burn it. This loyalty is the strongest chain that exists. It is a blood contract that says, I am like you. I suffer like you, Dad, to honor you. I sicken like you, Mum, to accompany you. Breaking ancestral chains is not fighting with the family. It is changing the contract. It is passing from blind love, which sickens, to enlightened love which heals. It is telling the ancestor, I honor you by being happy, not by being miserable. To rewrite your reality, you have to identify what family script they have passed to you. Almost all families operate under a family myth. A. The clan of scarcity, survival, money costs blood. The rich are bad. Life is a struggle. If you come from here, you will have a concrete financial ceiling. Every time you overcome it, you will enter panic. Your nervous system is wired for struggle, not for peace. If there is peace, you get nervous and look for problems. B. The clan of alone. Women. Absent men. Women are strong fighters, and they are alone, or with weak alcoholic men. Men leave, die early, or are useless. If you are a woman in this clan, your heritage is distrust of the masculine. You find it hard to receive. You have to be superwoman. If you are a man, your heritage is guilt or the tendency to flee. C. The clan of the secret. Shame. There is something that is not talked about. A suicide, a scam, an illegitimate child. A mental illness. The secret is a black hole in the family system. It sucks energy. It manifests in the following generations as anxiety without cause, addictions, or a feeling of, I don't deserve to live. D. The clan of sacrifice. Here we have come to suffer. Pain is valued. If you laugh a lot, they look at you badly. Enjoyment is forbidden. Pleasure is a sin. If you try to be a magician and enjoy life, you will feel that you are a superficial, frivolous person. Look at your parents. Look at your grandparents. Do you see the pattern? That pattern is not their personality. It is the software of the lineage. And now it is installed on your hard drive. Society uses the term black sheep as an insult, as the wayward one. The problem. In archetypal metaphysics, the black sheep is the savior. It is the seeker. It is the nascent sovereign. Families that only produce white sheep, who repeat the pattern, are condemned to extinction or decay. Nature in its wisdom introduces every now and then a black sheep, someone who questions, someone who says no, someone who goes far away, someone who does therapy, someone who wants to be a millionaire in a family of workers. You who are listening to this audiobook are the black sheep. If you were not, you would not be looking to rewrite your reality. You would be content repeating the reality of your parents. Your discomfort, your feeling of not fitting in your family, is not an error. It is your credential. It means that you have been designated by the family soul to clean the blood. You are the filter. You are the one who comes to say, this stops here. The trauma stops with me. The poverty stops with me. Do not feel guilty for being different. Your difference is the medicine that your tree needs, even if the tree tastes bitter and resists at the beginning. The good news of epigenetics is that DNA is not destiny. It is a tendency. Epigenetic markers, the trauma switches, are reversible. They can be turned off. How? By changing the environment and changing the perception. Your genes are listening to your thoughts and feeling your emotions. If you keep feeling the fear of your grandfather, you keep the stress gene turned on. But if you start to feel gratitude, security, and love, magician's work, you send a new chemical signal to the cell. The cell says, oh, the environment has changed. We are no longer at war. We can turn off the defense gene and turn on growth. Rewriting your reality is literally rewriting your biology. When you do the shadow work, when you forgive, when you decree abundance, you are doing spiritual genetic engineering. You are cleaning the mud from the DNA helix. And the most beautiful thing, if you clean your DNA today, your children will inherit the clean code. Your work saves you and saves those who come after. You cannot break these chains only with mental logic. The subconscious speaks the language of symbols and rituals. You have to perform a symbolic act of return. You have to return to your ancestors their fears, their guilts, and their destinies. Not from contempt, but from respect. This is yours, I return it to you. Practical exercise. Find a moment of solitude. Light a white candle. Close your eyes. Visualize your parents in front of you. Behind them, your grandparents. Behind, your great-grandparents. An immense crowd that is lost in the darkness. Feel the weight you carry on your back. Poverty, loneliness, illness. Visualize it as a heavy backpack or a dark stone. Take off the backpack with a real physical gesture. Put it on the ground in front of them. Say aloud, "Dear ancestors, I have carried this out of love for you. I have carried your pain believing that in this way I helped you. But I have realized that my suffering does not relieve you. It only destroys me. Bow deeply. Today, with respect, I return to you your destiny. I leave your pain, your poverty, and your fears with you. You are the big ones, and you can handle it. I am the little one, and it does not belong to me." Visualize that they smile. The ancestors want you to be free. Say, "From now on, I will honor you in a different way. I will honor you by being very happy. I will honor you by being very rich. I will honor you by living the full life that you could not live. Look upon me with good eyes if I do it differently. Turn around and walk toward the light. Feel how the chain breaks." Freud talked about killing the father. In the journey of the hero magician, there comes a moment when you must disappoint your clan. You have to be willing for them not to understand you. You have to be willing for them to criticize you. You have become stuck up. You no longer come to eat on Sundays. You have forgotten your roots. Do not defend yourself. Understand that it is the fear of the clan speaking. The clan is afraid of losing you, but you cannot save those who do not want to be saved. Sometimes to fly, you have to let go of the hand of those who refuse to jump. This is the solitude of the initiate. For a time you will be in no man's land. You no longer belong to the old tribe, and you have not yet found your new tribe. Endure. It is the price of freedom. It is better to walk alone toward the summit than accompanied in circles in the valley. Here is an advanced magic trick. Not everything in your lineage is bad or heavy. In your blood there are also kings, magicians, warriors, and sages. Perhaps your grandfather was poor, but he had a willpower of steel. Perhaps your great-grandmother suffered, but she had a magical intuition. When you break the chains of trauma, you release the treasure. The golden ancestor archetype is the positive force of your lineage that was blocked by trauma. Once you clean the channel, you can invoke that force. You can say, "I invoke the strength of my grandfather without his poverty. I invoke the creativity of my mother without her submission." Take the gold nuggets and leave the mud. You have the right to the complete inheritance of blessings. You are the culmination of thousands of years of survival. You have the strength of 1,000 survivors in your veins. Use it. In systemic metaphysics, there is a direct correlation. The mother, prarang, life, nutrition, abundance, success. The father, karka, strength, direction, the world, professional career. If you are fighting internally with your mother, you judge her, you reject her, you are fighting with life. Money will flee from you. You will feel that life does not nourish you. If you are fighting internally with your father, you consider him weak, bad, or absent, you will not have strength to go out into the world. It will be hard for you to finalize projects. You will lack authority. To rewrite your reality, you have to take the parents. Taking them does not mean living with them if they are toxic. It means accepting that they are the origin of your life. It means accepting that they gave you the most important thing, biological life. The rest are details. The healing mantra is, "Thank you for life, it was enough. With this, it is enough for me to do something great." When you stop demanding they be different, when you stop judging them, the energy unblocks. You stop being a demanding child and become a grateful adult. And the grateful adult is a magnet for wealth. When you break the chain, something amazing happens. Time stops being circular, repetition, and becomes linear, progress. You stop living the life of your dead. You start living your life. You feel a lightness in your shoulders that you had never felt. Irrational fears disappear. You start to have ideas that no one in your family had. You start to dare things that were taboo. You have inaugurated a new timeline. You are the Adam or the Eve of a new lineage. Your children will look at you as the reference point of abundance, not of scarcity. You have changed history. That is what a magician does. He not only changes his present, he changes the past, giving it new meaning, and the future, opening new paths. Finish this chapter by reflecting on your death. One day you will be the ancestor. What are you going to leave in the backpack of your grandchildren? Are you going to leave them your unresolved fears, your frustrations, your "I would have liked to but I didn't dare," or are you going to leave them a treasure map? Are you going to leave them the example of someone who was afraid but did it anyway, someone who broke the mold? The best inheritance is not money. It is a clean mental operating system. Work on yourself today so they don't have to work in therapy tomorrow. Be the hero who became a magician and then a king, so that they can be born being princes and princesses of a free kingdom. Chapter 10. The Avatar State, Identity Fluidity. We have reached the summit of the mountain. Look down. Look at the path you have traveled. You see the dark valley where the victim lived. You see the forest where the warrior fought. You see the tower where the magician studied. You see the castle where the king ruled. You have inhabited all those houses. You have learned their secrets. But now at the summit the air is thin. There are no structures, there is only sky. This is where I reveal the final secret to you, the secret that makes everything before work at a divine level. During this audiobook, I have taught you to build strong identities. I have taught you to put on the mask of the king, the mask of the magician, the mask of the alchemist, and that was necessary because your old victim mask was rotten. But the Supreme Master is not the one who has the best mask. The Supreme Master is the one who knows that he is none of the masks. The Master is the actor who can put on and take off any character at will without getting stuck to any. If you stay trapped in the king, you become rigid and tyrannical. If you stay trapped in the magician, you become volatile and disconnected from the earth. If you stay trapped in the warrior, you see enemies where there are none. The final goal is not to be someone. The final goal is to be no one and be everyone at the same time. It is to be the water that takes the shape of the glass. It is the avatar state. The avatar is the incarnation of pure potentiality. It is the 0 point where all archetypes converge. Today, you are going to learn to flow. You are going to learn to be so light that the gravity of fate can no longer catch you. Welcome to total freedom. Imagine that you have managed to become the king. You have money, you have power, you have respect. You have identified so much with the king that you no longer know how to be anything else. You get home and your young son wants to play on the floor, but you are the king. You stay rigid, you cannot throw yourself on the floor. You cannot make a fool of yourself. Your identity limits you. You lose the connection. You go to a party and everyone dances, but you are the serious king. You cannot let go. You lose the joy. Even a powerful identity becomes a cage if you cannot get out of it. A golden cage is still a cage. Rigidity is the threshold of death. What is hard and rigid breaks. What is soft and flexible survives. The avatar state is the capacity for instant metamorphosis. It is the ability to read the room, read the situation, and download the exact archetype that is needed in that millisecond. Does the situation require defense? Snap, you download the warrior. Does the situation require empathy? Snap, you download the lover. Does the situation require vision? Snap, you download the magician. Does the situation require order? Snap, you download the king. And most importantly, at the moment the situation ends, snap, you take off the suit and return to the void. You return to the silence. You do not carry the warrior to the romantic dinner. You do not carry the king to the moment of play. You are fluid. You are free. The great martial mystic Bruce Lee said it better than anyone. Don't get set into one form, adapt it and build your own and let it grow. Be like water. Empty your mind, be formless, moldable, like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. If you put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. If you put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Water is the perfect symbol of the avatar state. Water is the softest element, but it overcomes rock, which is the hardest element. Why? Because the rock cannot change. Water can. If you attack water, it yields, it lets you pass. And then it envelops you. You cannot hurt it. If you attack an avatar, you do not find resistance. You find a mirror, or you find the void. The avatar has no ego to defend. If someone insults the avatar is not offended, because there is no one there to receive the insult. The insult passes through the empty space. Reaching this state makes you invincible in life. You no longer react mechanically. You respond creatively. You become unpredictable, and therefore uncontrollable by the system. Let's think about optics. White light contains all the colors of the spectrum. When it passes through a prism, it divides into red, blue, green, yellow. You are the white light. The consciousness, the I am. The archetypes are the colors. The warrior is red. The magician is violet. The lover is green. The king is golden. The majority of people live being only one color. I am a blue person, sad intellectual, and they see the world blue. The avatar is the white light before passing through the prism. The avatar contains all colors in potential, but is none in act until he decides to project it. This is the key to advanced manifestation. If you want to manifest money, you become golden king. If you want to manifest health, you become green, vitality. But you always remember that you are the white light that projects the color, not the color itself. This disidentification gives you a supernatural peace. You know that your essence is unalterable. Internal, the white light is pure and perfect. Nothing can stain the light. To operate in the avatar state, you have to see your personality as a tool, not as your being. Your personality is a Swiss Army knife. It has a knife, scissors, a screwdriver, a file. Would you use the knife to tighten a screw? No. You would cut yourself. Would you use the screwdriver to cut bread? No. It would be inefficient. However, that is what we do with our life. We use the martyr archetype, which serves to sacrifice oneself, to try to earn money. Error, wrong tool. We use the warrior archetype, which serves to fight, to try to make our partner love us. Error, you destroy the relationship. The avatar is the expert user of the Swiss Army knife, looks at the problem, selects the tool, uses it, stores it. This pragmatic coldness is what allows massive success. You don't take things personally. If you have to fire someone, you take out the king. You fire with justice and firmness, and you store the king. You do not stay feeling guilt, victim, nor sadistic pleasure, tyrant. You simply applied the necessary tool. How is this fluidity achieved? Where do you stand to be able to change masks so fast? You stand at the 0 point. It is the space between thought and thought. It is the place behind your eyes. It is the witness consciousness. Quick exercise. Ask yourself, who is listening to this voice right now? Do not respond with your name. Your name is a label. Feel the presence that listens. That presence has no age. It has no gender. It has no history. It has no traumas. It simply is. That is the 0 point. That is the avatar. The more time you spend inhabiting that presence, the easier it will be to handle the archetypes. The archetypes are clothes. The presence is the body. If you get very fat, you fill yourself with ego. The clothes tighten and you cannot take them off. Keep yourself naked at the 0 point. Keep yourself humble. From the humility of the void, you can dress yourself in any majesty. The avatar state changes your way of handling conflict. The hero faces force with force. He clashes. The avatar uses the opponent's force to his advantage. This is spiritual Aikido. If someone attacks you with anger, fire, and you respond with anger, fire, you create an uncontrollable fire. The avatar sees the fire coming and in a fraction of a second becomes water. Responds with calm, with soft questions, with silence. The fire of the opponent drowns by not finding fuel. If someone attacks you with coldness and indifference, ice, and you respond with sadness, water, you freeze. The avatar sees the ice coming and becomes sun, warmth, charisma, melts the coldness of the other with his radiation. This capacity to polarize the situation is the ultimate power. You dictate the tone of the interaction. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. The thermometer reacts to the temperature. The thermostat regulates the temperature. When you enter a room in the avatar state, you decide if the room will be happy, serious, tense, or relaxed, simply by choosing which archetype you project. In Hinduism, there exists the concept of Lila, the game of God. It says that reality is a game that consciousness plays with itself so as not to get bored. It disguises itself as you and disguises itself as your enemy and plays hide and seek. When you reach the avatar state, you remember that it is a game, and you stop taking life with that heavy and morbid seriousness. You recover laughter. The avatar has a sense of cosmic humor. He sees his problems and laughs because he knows they are levels of the video game. Ah, look, the bankruptcy level. What an interesting challenge. Let's see how I play this level. With the Alchemist character, this lightness paradoxically makes you more effective. Tension blocks flow. Fun accelerates it. The best players are those who have fun playing. Play with your reality. Experiment. Say, today I am going to try being ultra-confident to see what happens. Today I'm going to try being mysterious. Treat your life as an experimental laboratory, not as a court of justice. This is the last great secret. To manifest something instantly, it must not matter too much to you. Need, vibration of lack, repels the object. Detachment, vibration of abundance, attracts it. The avatar plays to win, but does not need to win to know who he is. If the king loses his kingdom, he is still king in his attitude. He knows he can build another. This internal security terrifies your fears. Your fears control you by threatening you with losing things. If you lose your job, you will die. The avatar responds, if I lose my job, I will invent another. I am infinite. You cannot threaten me. When you lose the fear of loss, you become dangerous to the system and magnetic to miracles. The universe loves the one who does not fear it. Money pursues the one who does not need it desperately. Love pursues the one who already loves himself. The avatar state is the state of self-completeness. I want you to visualize a stained glass window of a cathedral. It is made of thousands of pieces of glass of different colors. The warrior, the lover, the magician, the child, the sage. Separately, they are just pieces of glass. Together, they form a divine image when the light, spirit, passes through them. You are that stained glass window. You do not have to kill any part of you. Even your victim has a small place in the stained glass. It gives you empathy for the pain of others. Even your tyrant has a small place. It gives you firmness in extreme moments. The art is in the proportion and in the disposition. In the center of the stained glass window, you put the king and the magician. On the edges, you put the survival archetypes, like protective gargoyles. That is the integration. Being a complete human. Nietzsche called it the Übermensch, overman. The being who has overcome his animal and mechanical nature to become a self-created work of art. I leave you a tool to activate the avatar state in seconds. It is a physical anchor. Choose a gesture. It can be a snap of the fingers, touching your heart, or taking a deep breath. Associate that gesture with the 0 point. When you feel that an archetype is possessing you, make the gesture, break the pattern, breathe, return to the void, and ask yourself, what character do I need now? And choose it consciously. Practice this 1,000 times, until the space between the stimulus and your response is an abyss of freedom. There resides your mastery. Dear Creator, we have reached the end of the transmission. You started this book being a character in someone else's script, a supporting actor. Now you have the pen, you have the crown, you have the magic, and you have the fluidity. You have awakened from the dogmatic dream. You are no longer a sleepwalker bumping into the furniture of life. Now you are the architect who rearranges the furniture. I have given you maps. I have given you keys. I have given you codes. But there is something I cannot give you. I cannot give you your will. Knowledge without action rots in the mind. It becomes intellectual obesity. Knowing this and not applying it is worse than not knowing it, because now you are responsible. You can no longer say, I didn't know. You know that your poverty is an archetype. You know that your solitude is a program. And you know how to change it. Ignorance was a blessing. Knowledge is a commitment. I challenge you. Do not let this audiobook be just another one that you listen to for entertainment while going to work. Make this the book that split your life into before and after. Kill the old self, bury its clothes, and go out into the street naked and new, dressed only in your intention. The world is waiting for your new version. Your family, your finances, and your soul are waiting for the king or the queen to take command. Do not make them wait any longer. The throne is empty, the pen is loaded, the stage is yours. Listen, this has not ended here. What you have just received is the theory. It is powerful, yes, but the real transformation occurs in the trenches, in the day-to-day, and it is easy to fall back asleep if you walk alone. The old self is cunning. It will try to return, it will try to sabotage you tomorrow. That is why you cannot remain isolated. Kings need a council, magicians need an order. If you feel that this knowledge has resonated in your bones, if you feel that you are one of those black sheep called to be of gold, I have an invitation for you. At Transcendental Mind, we don't just make videos. We are building a brotherhood of initiates, people who, like you, have decided to hack reality. Do this right now. Subscribe to the channel. But do not do it out of inertia. Click that button as if you were signing your commitment to your new identity. Let the click be your first act of will. Activate the bell. The system will try to distract you. You need constant reminders to stay awake. Find the link below. In the description and in the first comment, I have left a special link. It is the entrance to our private mailing list or exclusive community. That is where I share the techniques that are too powerful or controversial for YouTube. That is where we go deeper into the technical how-to of manifestation. That is where you will receive the reminders so that you do not fall asleep again. Do not close this audio and return to your normal life. Your normal life brought you the results you no longer want. Do something different today. Join us. We are paths of knowledge. I'll see you on the other side, where reality is moldable.